Hello, moon babies, and welcome to October. This month we are playing with city witching. So I think there's a fantasy for many of us. I know it is for me about living in the woods, this sort of secluded life that's very close to nature. You know, we're living on the edge of the woods in a cottage with a mossy cabin, and there's gnarled trees and deer frolicking. Or maybe for you, it's the bluff looking out onto a tempestuous sea. Whatever it is, sometimes that is far, far, far away from reality. More and more and more of us are living in cities. We're having an urban experience, and that means apartment complexes or smaller living spaces, shared living spaces, landlords, roommates, pets. We may not have access to, virgin forest, much as, a garden or even a yard. So in those cases, sometimes magic and wildness feels a million miles away, but it doesn't have to be that way. Part of the beauty of the magical life is looking deeper, seeking beauty in the mundane, finding ways to take advantage of energies that are available to us in the mundane, and just using what's available, using what's in front of us to make the magic happen. So in this video, I want to share with you a few ideas to help ignite your city witch spark. Consider using fountains, ponds, culverts, and water features as opportunities for wish magic. Even water fountains in the shopping center will work. Use grates and drains as a portal to the underworld. Use them in meditation or physically as a place for offerings. I've been known to send a message to the underworld by whispering into a glass of water and pouring it down a sewer grate on a new moon. Lots of people discuss the difficulties about cleansing rituals, especially in a rental or a shared space. Lots of apartments don't allow candles or incense, and we can witch around it. A pot of potpourri on the stove, salt water in a spray bottle, music, bells, movement, your own dancing, incantations, or a crystal grid will all do the trick. Cemeteries are not just for necromantic magic. They can be a great place to get in touch with nature, seek quiet, and potentially gather materials or return materials to the earth, especially if you don't have your own property. So if you live in a city where the parks are very populated, or you have a roommate situation, the cemetery could prove to be a much needed and very magical sanctuary. Familiarize yourself with the animal life in your neighborhood. Now, we may not have wolves and stags and all that other sexy stuff, but fox, possum, raccoon, squirrels, rats, cats, dogs, pollinators, and all types of birds have important messages for us as well. Be on the lookout. Use existing buildings as temples. So if you use a spirit-based model and you're working with gods and goddesses or personified deities, consider public spaces that might embody their energy. It could be statues in parks or facilities like courthouses, art museums, banks, or libraries. Even in the thickest of cities, in the deepest of concrete jungles, you can still be aware of the green world. Notice what's in the planters, what's coming up from the sidewalk, what are the trees doing. Now, they may be more subtle here than they are in more rural or spacious environments, but they're still very much alive and a direct connection to the earth. Find connections to the elements in your neighborhood. How does fire present itself? How does water present itself? Air, earth. Be on the lookout for representations and keep mental notes of these places and spaces, or perhaps people and things, for future workings. Wearable protection spells are an effective and fun part of city life. Think about fabric paints, things that jingle, reflective surfaces. I have found that when you are in a populated area, that trying to protect yourself from everything is actually really exhausting and not terribly effective. But charms that allow things to pass through and unnoticed or undisturbed seems to be more helpful. It's definitely worth experimenting with and find your own personal preference. Apartment balconies are the perfect location for homemade wind chimes and prayer flags. Let the wind help you carry your intentions. Find ley lines or energy tracks. Often you'll find that churches and other sacred sites are built on ley lines. You can Google ley lines if there are any in your area, or you can go out and dowse for them yourself. We have to talk about plants. So there's so much to say. They're beautiful. They can become a familiar if pets are not a possibility for you. They are great for our mental health. It's a tie to nature, even if you live in a high-rise. They're great for prosperity magic. They're excellent feng shui. How can you bring the green world indoors? Plants are also excellent gifts. Be sure to give them for good luck. Speaking of plants, plant anything you can. If you have a tiny lot, plant a tree. If you have a postage stamp balcony, fill it with plants for pollinators, a window box. Anything you can. Plant your vegetable scraps in pots. Green spaces create habitats and remind us that we are part of this living web of magic. If you drive, take care of your car magically. Keep it clean. Add some charms to the inside. Use stickers to protect the outside. Same goes for bikes. Give them names. Take good care of them, and they'll take care of you. And finally, create art magic designed for other people to see. Utilize poster boards, telephone poles, message boards, public transportation, parks, coffee houses. It could be to raise awareness, to spread love, perhaps sigils to prevent crime, to protect, to invoke beauty, to create a synchronicity for someone else. Anything you like. The possibilities here are endless. Public restrooms are my personal favorite place for this kind of magic. I really hope that you enjoyed these ideas and that a few of these are able to spark some inspiration for you and help you tap in to your witchiness, tap into your magical life this month, Moon Baby. I want to thank you so much for being here with me on Patreon and for supporting this work. I am deeply grateful for you. And until we speak again, witch on, witch boldly, and be well, Moon Baby.